to another WebFrame tutorial. Today we're going to go over WebFrame functions and kind of dive into what makes WebFrame a little bit. Let's start by logging in here, and I'm going to go right over to the developer tools. I click developer tools, and let's maximize our screen, and let's start making a new project. So the first thing we're going to do is name our project. I'm going to name this test project, and you can put it in the description if you wish. I'm not going to do that right now. We're just going to get rocking and rolling, and it makes a couple files for you. To start off with, here we got the start file, the header file, and the app.json file. So the app.json file tells the marketplace and the operating system here, if you will, of WebFrame, the framework, the description and the icon to use, and what version this requires. The other pieces here, the header, this is everything that goes into the head of your project that you would like to add. By default, certain things are turned on in your project. So like, for instance, Bootstrap and jQuery are turned on by default. Also Vue.js. And I believe also there is a video game engine also in there, Phaser.io. The final file here that you start off with is the start file, and this is the body of your application. Anything you would put in the body, you would put here. You don't need to put the body tags, you don't need to put the rest of your file. This is essentially like you're starting in a div inside your file. So right here, I could put, for instance, h1, and put a hello and hit save, and I can click this button, which opens up a new workspace, and go over to apps, and here's my test app, and you have the hello at the top. Now, as I said before, this is using Bootstrap and jQuery pre-installed, so you could actually come over here to W3 Schools and check out the Bootstrap tutorial and grab some pieces directly from here without actually including the CDN at the top. Everything's all included. So actually, I would like to have a Jumbotron and a div following the Jumbotron. I think I want this Jumbo fluid, so let's just grab the Jumbotron and right to there. Again, all the body and HTML and all the header stuff, we don't need to include that. So I'm going to hit copy, and I'm going to go back to my file here, and I'm going to paste this in, and let's fix it to say what we want. So test this is a test, and this is some text, and this is some other text. That's fine. Let's hit save, and let's take a look at it again. So I refresh, and here is my app so far. Okay, well, that's well and good, but PHP is ready to rock and roll here, and we are going to start using it. Okay, so one of the things that you'll do often in WebFrame is make some forms. So instead of this here, let's add a form, and we can make it Bootstrap pretty later, but for right now we're just going to add a basic form with a method and an action. So we're going to post this, and we're going to provide an action, And we are going to close the form. And let's just put one thing inside it. Input text and let's see, input type, sorry. And let's call this text. And let's give it a name. We'll call it con for content. And I think that is probably good enough for what we're going to do. We're just going to keep it simple here for this tutorial. Let's take, and we need a submit button. So let's do that. Input type equals submit. And notice I'm using the IDE built right into WebFrame to do all this. So we don't need to pull it into something else. We can work right here. Value is submit. And let's close that. And that's great. Okay, now notice I haven't added the action yet. We're going to do that in a second. This will be where our first function comes in. So I'm going to refresh. There it is. Again, this is Bootstrap enabled, so if I did want to add some Bootstrap in here, like class equals btn primary, we can do that. We can hit save, and that's going to do what we thought it was going to do. So let's put the information on this from this form somewhere. So there are two functions I'm going to teach you. The first one is WD URL. Okay, and what WD URL will do is it will go and it will direct you to another page inside WebFrame without having to put the exceptionally long string. And it kind of cuts down some of the clutter, and we can add some special variables directly into this. The first variable that we're going to put in is the type. So I'm actually going to put WD type. WD type takes the type that your app is. So my app is in the My Apps folder. Let me just show you that real quick. There's apps and there's My Apps. Those are the two types that we're dealing with here. So by putting WD type, it's saying, hey, test is in My Apps, so we're going to stay in there. Now I could switch that to apps if I'd want, if there's a reason for me to do that, but for the most part I'm going to leave it as WD type. After that, I'm going to put in WD app. This is saying I want to stick in my own app. So if I rename my app, this variable will go right along with it, and it says we're going to use that type, and you'll see it up here in the get statement at the top. Type apps, because I'm using the dev tool, and here's the name of the app, dev. Okay, so we're doing test, and it's in the My Apps. So that's the type. This is the app. Next up is the page. Now I could redirect this to my own page, right? I could go and do start.php. That's the page that I am on. I am actually going to make a second page called startsub.php. And then there's finally a spot for other get statement variables. So I could add here and a equals 1 if I wanted to, if that was important to me. I'm just going to leave this blank for now because it's not important to me. Okay, and let's try this out. I'm going to hit save, and I'm going to go back over here, and I got to make that start sub page. So let's do that. So we're going to do a new file, and this is going to be start sub PHP. I do it so often it actually shows up. And right in here, I'm going to sanitize that data that was going to come in. So what I'm going to do is say, for instance, if is set the get statement. Now, WebFrame actually already pre-sanitizes some stuff for you, but this gives it some extra thorough sanitation that we're going to do. So if the get statement is set, and we called it con was the name, if con is set, then we're going to make a variable here, $con is equal to test input. This is the next function I want you to know. It's the input function. The input function is a basic sanitizing function. If you want to see what all these functions do, you can hop over into Terminal and go to the test input page. I'll show you where that is. The test input page, and in here is all the functions that you could possibly use. So you can kind of come through here and scroll through and see, but we're using this test input function. Okay? Let me see if I can find where the actual function is being called for you here. It's in this list, but what that does is some basic sanitation. These are some other options here with stripping slashes and HTML special characters and all that good stuff. I'm just having trouble locating it right this second. Oh, here we go. Yes, here it is. Return empty data, empty special characters, strip slashes, trim data, etc. Okay, so let's go back again. Sorry for the little delay there. So we're going to put that get con right in here. Okay. And now that's sanitized. And we're going to continue on. And let's just echo it on the page. Echo $con. And that's it for now. Let's hit save. Okay, so here's our application. Refresh. I'm going to type something in here. Hello world. And hit submit. And oh, take a look at this. We have a new page set up over here. And this page actually has all the GUI stuff that we had before. This is a problem if it's going to be a subpage. We're not going to want all of that stuff to it. So what we're going to do is use a different function. I showed you how to get to another page using that WD URL, but what we're going to do instead of the WD URL is we are going to use WD URL sub. Hit save. And let's go back again. And we'll put something in here. And notice we got a white page now. Now the reason why this isn't coming up is I used get before, but what should it have been? It should have been post. So let's switch this from get to post. And hit save. And come back over again and refresh. And we have our hello world. And again, if I took that, if I come back over here and I take this sub out, all of that body is going to be built for us. So if I come back over here again and hit refresh, no, I have to come back over here, sorry. If I come back over here and submit again, you see that it comes with all the HTML with it. And then again, of course, if I remove that and put URL sub instead and hit save, one more time here. We're going to go back, and we're back to our subpage. This is great if you don't want any HTML there at all. If you're going to use a subpage and you want to add HTML, you're going to have to add the doc type and everything to it, because it's all removed for those subpages. So let's go back now to the start sub, and let's do an action here. Let's say I just wanted to sanitize this data and bring that data back over to the start page. There's a number of reasons why you might want to do this. You might probably want to do something to the data, like for instance, let's do this to the data. Con is equal to $con, and over here we're going to add a exclamation point to the end. Okay, and then we're going to use our next function here, which is WD head. And what head's going to do is it's going to redirect us from the subpage directly back to a different page. So again, here I'm going to do WD type, WD app, and then in here I'm going to put start.php. We're going to return back to the same page. We could go to a different one, but we're going to return back to the same one. So now when I hit save and I run my application, I'm going to submit, and it takes me back to the same page, and we don't really see anything here, and it cleared out the box. So let's have something go over to the page. So we have just now gone directly back over to the page again, but I didn't bring anything with it. Let's bring something with it. Let's add something to this field here, and con is equal to $con, like that, for instance. Okay, we're going to bring that over with us. Okay, and hit save, and let's try it out. So up here you see on the top it says hello world up there, and it has our exclamation point at the end. Let's bring that into the page now. So on the page, the start page, we're going to go back over, and we'll use our sanitation again, but at the top here I can write something like we'll put it, let's put it right after the form. Okay, let's put it right here. We're going to add some PHP. In fact, we'll make it a one-line thing, I think. We'll put it here like this, and we're going to wrap this in H1 tags. So, yeah, I have an idea. We'll do it like this. So, for our PHP here, we're going to write something like if is set $get, and this time it is $get, con then we're going to do $con is equal to test input, just so we sanitize this so we don't get some malicious code coming through. Test input $get con, like that. And then finally, let's have it do something. Echo H1 and in the middle here let's put $con. Okay, And this will be the end of our app, but I hope this shows you some of the basic functions that you really need to know in order to, in variables that you need to know in order to use this program. Let's see our final application here. Hello world, submit, hello world. I hope this was helpful, and I look forward to seeing you in our next video. Thank you so much. Bye.